Okay, let's get right into it. So many incredibly smart students get their US visa application denied. And the crazy part, it's almost never because of their qualifications. It's because they just don't know how to answer simple questions in a way that builds trust. At the end of the day, a visa rejection is a communication problem. So in this explainer, we're going to run a real F1 visa simulation. You'll see what a weak candidate does wrong, what a strong one does right, and exactly what makes the difference between an approval and a denial.
Now you have to understand the starting point here, because it's wild. Before you even step up to that window, U.S. immigration law has already made up its mind about you. It assumes you plan to stay in the U.S. forever. This isn't personal, it's literally the law. Your entire interview, which might be over in just 90 seconds, is your one and only chance to prove that assumption wrong. The burden of proof is 100% on you.
So to win this game, you have to know the rules. And that means you need to understand the legal final boss of your interview, Section 214B. This is the #1 reason people get denied. We're also going to talk about the only weapon you have to defeat it, proving your strong ties to your home country.
So here's the thing you have to get. A 214B denial isn't the officer saying you're a bad student or that you're not qualified. Not at all. It's the officer saying you simply failed to convince them you're going to leave the U.S. after your program ends. You didn't prove you have a life, a career, and responsibilities to go back to that are stronger than the temptation to stay. Every single question they ask is designed to test this one idea.
In this slide, this is your playbook for how you fight back. Strong ties are the real concrete pieces of evidence that connect you to your home country. This isn't about feelings, it's about facts. Do you have a job offer waiting for you? Do you own property? Is your spouse or your child staying behind? Have you sketched out a clear career path that makes total sense back home? These aren't just details. This is the ammunition for your entire case. All right, let's watch this play out. We're about to simulate an interview with a totally unprepared candidate. Just listen to how their vague, nervous answers immediately plant seeds of doubt in the officer's mind. This is exactly what not to do. Okay, so the officer says, "Good morning, why are you going to the United States?" And the student nervously says, "I want to study because education is better there." Oof, you can just feel the interview going downhill already. That answer is a massive red flag. Why? It's completely generic. Literally anyone could say that. It shows absolutely no research, no specific passion, no real goal. It tells the officer that either you haven't really thought this through, or even worse, that you're hiding your true intentions. The officer continues, "I see. Who is funding your education?" The student just says, "My family." And there's another one, "My family." What does that even mean? That tells the officer nothing. Which family members? What do they do for a living? Can they actually afford the insane cost of U.S. tuition? This answer just creates more questions, and it makes the officer doubt the financial documents you handed them. It has zero credibility. Then the officer asks, "And what's your plan after you graduate?" The student replies, "I might try to work in the U.S., or maybe come back." And that is the fatal blow, the nail in the coffin. That answer directly confirms the officer's legal assumption that you want to immigrate. By saying you might work in the U.S. and you're not sure about coming back, you've just handed them the perfect legal reason to stamp rejected on your file. It's game over. So the result here is almost certainly a denial. But let's be really clear about something. The student wasn't rejected because they weren't qualified. They were rejected because their answers were weak. They completely failed to tell a clear, confident, structured story that proved they intended to go back home. It was a total communication failure. Okay, now let's hit rewind. Let's see how a strong candidate handles these exact same questions. We're talking about the same student profile, but this time with a winning approach that builds a rock-solid case for approval from the very first sentence. So the officer asks, "Good morning. Why are you going to the United States?" And the student calmly and directly says, "I'm going to pursue a master's in molecular biology at XYZ University. I chose this specific program for its focus on drug development, which directly aligns with my goal of working for a leading pharmaceutical company back in my home country." Wow, what a difference, right? It's specific, it shows they did their homework, and it immediately links their U.S. degree to a career back home. It's already destroying that immigrant intent assumption. Next question, who is funding your education? The strong student says, "My father is sponsoring me. He's a senior civil engineer with an annual income of about $25,000. On top of that, I was awarded a $10,000 scholarship from the university for academic merit." You see that? It's perfect. Specific numbers, a real profession, and a scholarship that proves they're a top applicant. This answer completely erases any financial doubt from the officer's mind.
And the final question, and what will you do after you graduate? The student says, after graduation, I have a clear plan to return home. I'll be targeting roles in our growing pharmaceutical sector where specialists in drug development are in really high demand. My long-term goal is to join a local research firm and apply everything I've learned. And that right there, that is how you defeat Section 214B. The answer gives a clear, logical, and specific plan to return. It proves the U.S. degree is just one step in a much bigger career plan back home.
Now, a real interview isn't always so neat and tidy. Officers are under a ton of pressure, and they often switch into a rapid-fire mode to get the facts quickly. This is where a lot of people crumble. So let's simulate that pressure, and then we'll break down a couple of tricky questions that are designed to see if you'll crack.
Okay, here we go. How many schools did you apply to? 5 universities. I got 3 offers and chose XYZ for its research strength. Any relatives in the U.S.? Yes. An uncle lives in Texas, but my housing is arranged on campus. Undergraduate GPA? 3.6 out of 4.0. The key here is simple. Be short, direct, and honest. No long stories, just the facts delivered with confidence.
Now, for a classic trap question. The officer asks this to test your real motivation. If you start criticizing your home country, it just sounds like you're trying to escape, which is a huge red flag. The goal is to focus on the unique, positive things about the U.S. program you chose. So a winning answer sounds something like this. There are definitely some good programs in my country, but for my specific field, they lack the advanced lab technology and direct research opportunities that are available at XYZ University. And those things are absolutely crucial for a career in this area. You see, it's respectful, it's logical, and it shows you've made an educated choice, not a desperate one. Okay, this next one is a total mind game. The officer wants to see just how desperate you are. If you start begging or act like your whole life is over, it just confirms their suspicion that you're trying to immigrate no matter what.
The best response shows resilience. Something like, well, of course, I'd be disappointed, but I would respectfully ask if there was a reason for the denial so I could maybe strengthen my application for the future, and in the meantime, I'd continue pursuing opportunities to advance my career back home. This shows maturity. It shows that your entire future doesn't hinge on this one visa, which, funnily enough, makes you a much more trustworthy applicant.
So, as we wrap all this up, let's just boil it down to a simple winning formula. In those 2 critical minutes, what is that officer actually listening for? It's not about perfect English or using big words. It really just comes down to 3 key things. This is the officer's mental checklist. First, clarity. Is your story simple, specific, and easy to follow? No vague answers. Second, honesty. Are your answers truthful, and do they match every single one of your documents? Any contradiction is a deal breaker. And finally, the most important one, consistency. Does your whole story make sense? Does your past education connect to your future studies? And do those studies connect to a logical career back in your home country? If you can nail clarity, honesty, and consistency, you're not just answering questions anymore. You're telling a powerful story that proves you're a temporary student, not an intending immigrant. And that is the absolute key to getting your visa approved.